Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hair Impact. I'm Gusande Hileos. I am your host, and today we're going to redefine science. So I am identifying five taboo that exist in science, and I'm gonna try to give you the latest about it. So just redefine it and give you the background, let's say, on science and things that don't exist anymore. Maybe they are taboo because they were used to be real facts, or they were just wrongly developed ideas. So our number one is actually what is science. I have this very recent experience that I understand people don't actually know what is science, and it's a big, uh, of course, subject to talk about. I think now they mostly identified it as STEM. So it's STEM, if you know the term, is science, technology, engineer, and mathematics. So they put science in this one, the first letter, but it's this vast thing that you include all the sciences, and it's a really big field. And the unfortunate is that people don't know all the sciences, or they don't understand their uniqueness and their what they provided for humanity all the years that they existed, as long as humanity did. So they don't know which science is which, and behind the name, what is actually studying. So, for instance, I am a geologist, and in my country, when I say I'm a geologist, usually people don't hear it. Because of the Greek word, geology is geologia. And when I tell them, they think that I'm a biologist because the word is close. Or they think it's about agriculture science. And it's so big problem that even in the interviews I went, they were asking the wrong questions. They were asking about agriculture sciences questions, and I told them I can answer that. This is not my field. I'm actually earth scientist, so I'm studying earth, not agriculture and its practice and how plants are better to be cultivated. And it was fun, but it's also disappointing that still people don't understand what is science, what is each science, or what it gives, and what is actually studying. Number two is actually what I found disappointing, and as a woman in science, maybe frustrating, is that when you say a scientist, usually they imagine a male scientist, a man in science, and that is indeed disappointing. I'll share now a story that some women science told me. She was an event, and there was only one woman in the panel to discuss about science. And when she started talking to some of the audience, they told her that they preferred a male scientist, a real scientist. So there's not really a real scientist, they're just scientists. Like, you can be woman, man, the gender doesn't really matter. Even children can be scientists. And actually, some know a lot of things from my personal experience. If they really, and depends also on their parents mostly, but also school, if they really want to, they learn a lot of science and they can become excellent scientists. And they already are because they know so many things. So number three tattoo that I found also strange and disappointing again is that how you do actually science. people don't recognize that 99% of science is actually assumptions. That is actually the truth. So it's about all about theories. And how it works is, as a scientist, you have a hypothesis. So you do the research in order to prove if it's actually real, if it's that's the solution, or is the reality that you're studying, or if it's not. So, and science is difficult. Research in science is very difficult. It takes years and years to prove something. It can also even take a lifetime. So maybe you're not at the end gonna prove it, but somebody else will. So when I'm speaking about science, some people they can actually tell you, no, that's not real, or you are wrong. But this is how science is. Nobody knows actually if it's wrong, if it's real, if it happened or not. Especially in earth science, I mean, the only way you are 100% sure that that happened, that this was real, is to travel in time, to go back a million years ago and see if that dinosaur that you're studying had, I don't know, was flying or something, or there was actually a lake or a mountain that did that, and all this were real. So actually, in order to be certain, you have to have been your own self, be present, and we're not. So 99% is actually assumptions, and in every science you make assumptions because this is how you can move forward. If you wait to be sure for something, then nothing will actually work. And we depend of each other's assumptions. We depend of each other's research to go forward. So that's important also for us scientists to collaborate. So if you don't agree with a hypothesis or a research of somebody, that's okay. But you don't need to be hostile and tell them, no, you don't. This is not true. Nobody knows if it's true. I mean, you have to go, except you're in time travel again. Maybe you will discover if it's true or not. The other thing, taboo, that I find also really big is where we make science. And usually when people say, oh, scientist, I'm a scientist, the other person imagine lab. But not all science is in the labs. A lot of scientists actually work outside the labs. If maybe your biology is genetics, things that you can only study if you see them with a microscope, is usually in the labs. But things that you don't need a microscope, or maybe chemistry also, like if you study the space, you actually see the space and you observe, and you don't need to go to a lab for that. Or if you study in rock, you go mapping. You map specific area, so you don't need labs for that. So a big percentage of science is outside the labs. So the example that scientists doing actually work in the labs is pretty misleading for people. So and it's good because not everything can be solved in labs, and it makes sense. And finally, the final thing I found a big taboo is why we make science and why it's important. Now I know this is very important for people to understand, and the scientist community, need to communicate with people to tell them why it's important, why they're spending so much money in science. And well, at the beginning of time, when about 100 or maybe 200 years ago, science was actually about curiosity mostly. The people were curious. Can we fly? Can we do this? Can we do that? So they've tried to find a way to do it with science. They make airplanes and they fly at the end. But now it's changed that. I mean, a lot of curiosity, of our curiosity, is, we discover a lot of things until then. But mostly now is actually to make tools that are gonna help our lives to make it better, or to solve problems like climate change and fix some of the mistakes we have already done, like the industrial revolution time. And that's why science is so important, because through science we found solutions, we found tools, we create the technology we need, the new technology, we need to solve these big problems that seems to have such an impact on ourselves and our planet and on the biodiversity. And we're wrapping up with these 5 taboos. I hope I help you to understand that these are myths. This is not really the reality of these 5 mentalities we have about science and scientists. And I hope to see you next Wednesday for another episode. Make knowledge your superpower, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.